Dhani watches a lot of television and movies. John does not. Listen in as she tells him about what she's watching, and he tries to make sense of it all. Welcome to Watching My Stories with Dhani and John.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
I'm Dhani.
And I'm John.
And this is Watching My Stories.
Welcome again.
So we did take a break. We took last week off. Again, not really planned, but I had like two things to talk about. And I just thought, is that really worth it? So now I have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, you're making up for it.
Yeah. So we're just going to jump into it. There's just one movie, bunch of TV, and then we're going to discuss The Rock or Dwayne Johnson in our Actors Corner.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start with Fast and the Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw.
Which I did not see.
Right.
So I will just listen to your story.
Well, have you watched any of the Fast and Furious?
I saw the first one. I totally don't remember it.
Aww.
Yeah. So
I think the first one is still the best just because it was our introduction.
yeah.
The only one I haven't seen is the Tokyo Drift one. No reason, but I thought at that point it was getting silly. And then when they started coming back to the original guys, I was like, oh, okay, now I'll start watching again. So it was like, I just kind of took that break. I should just go back and watch.
Sorry, you thought at that point it was getting silly? Wasn't it?
Now it's fun. Now you take it to a different place. So yeah, let me get into Hobbs and Shaw. So
it's a fine line between silly and fun, right?
It can be, yes. And we'll talk about that when we get into more of The Rock's movies.
Charlie's Angels.
I'm not having that discussion with you.
Oh, dear.
I'm not talking about that
now.
Oh,
no.
Okay. Anyway, Hobbs and Shaw, we know from previous Fast and Furious movies, Jason Statham and The Rock. Sorry, guys. My just so everyone knows, I've tried to get off of Zyrtec for the last week. Everyone knows I have horrible allergies. And I have to take Zyrtec every day. And I wanted to just give my body a break from doing that. And in the meantime, I'm just full of everything. So I apologize for all of the allergy sounds coming from me.
Oh, by the way, on a personal note.
Yeah. Okay, so back to Hobbs and Shaw.
Okay.
So we've known them from previous movies, obviously. And in this one, and they've never gotten along. And in this one, they have to work together. Okay. To be honest, I don't even remember what the point of this movie was, why they had to come together. Well, his sister's in it. So, well, that's a whole nother story. What's her face? Oh, shoot.
Wow.
From The Crown.
Are we, the sister?
Yeah, who plays Jason Statham's sister, who is 20 years younger, and yet they try to say that they're only a couple years apart.
Well, I thought you said that there was a way that it would work.
No, if they had stuck to their ages, there's a way it would have worked. So, sorry. Vanessa Kirby. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so Vanessa Kirby plays Shaw's. Gosh, it's early on a Sunday morning.
Jason Statham?
Jason Statham's sister. Their mother is Helen Mirren. So someone figured out that age-wise, Helen Mirren could have had Jason Statham, who's 51, when she was whatever age. And then she also could have had Vanessa Kirby by the time she was in her like 40 or 41, something like that. So so technically it works. The problem is that in the movie, they show a flashback of the two of them as children playing together, and they're only like 2 years apart. Mm-hmm. So that's where everyone online kind of went off the rails, because we can buy you as siblings if you try to say you're 20 years apart, but to say that you're only a couple years apart was really ridiculous.
Yeah, that's just sloppy filmmaking.
But again, the whole movie's ridiculous, so it doesn't matter.
Wait.
Granted, I love it.
It's fun.
No, it's very, I mean, it's just like any of these last 3 to 4 Fast and Furious movies. You know, there are ridiculous stunts in it, but it is so much fun.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
it is just, like I said, I can't really remember the point of the movie. Like the sister gets herself into trouble, and so Hobbs and Shaw have to come together, and Idris Elba is after them, and he's like a Terminator. He's like part robot and part human. because the science has just gotten us that far, and there's a whole army of these kind of robot humans.
So it's no longer present day, or okay?
No, but they are saying that they're thinking the next Fast and Furious might take place in space. So we're getting there. Anyway.
Wait. So I do have a fundamental question.
A fundamental question.
Yeah. When did Jason Statham and The Rock start appearing in these movies?
Ooh, I think Hobbs came in on 4 or 5.
What number is this?
Technically, this isn't a Fast and Furious, but this would be 9. There's been 8 Fast and the Furious movies. And then there's this one, which is a Fast and Furious Presents.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they're seriously thinking about doing another one.
Fast and Furious, these are the highest growing films of all time.
Well,
Vin Diesel is the highest grossing movie star of all time because of these movies.
okay.
Paul Walker, R.I.P.
Well, so yeah.
So
All
that
right.
was hard for me. I didn't think I was going to watch the last one because I didn't care to watch anything that Paul Walker wasn't in. But I did still go and watch it. And it was fine. It's not as good, but it's fine. Anyway, so this movie, it was fun and it's ridiculous and it's heart pounding and it's good to look at. Like, it's really slick. And, you know, it's all of that. You're not going to test your brain. You know what I mean? You're going to just sit back and just take it in and enjoy it. And if you can't do that, obviously, you don't go see this kind of movie.
Okay, so if you suspend belief,
Yes.
then you're going to enjoy it.
Exactly.
Okay.
But on the same hand, man, fight scenes between Idris and Jason and The Rock, it's just like, give me a bucket, a drool bucket. It was awesome. I loved, there were some great scenes, again, shot in just really fun ways that add to the action and in settings that add to the action
Sure.
and all of that. It was wonderful to see the three of them go head to head to head.
Okay. I mean, I get it. Look, I'm as, you know, I can appreciate the, you know, what they represent, what they bring.
Yeah.
Right. I'm happily straight, but you can't help but look at Jason Statham and Idris Elba and The Rock as a straight male and go, yeah. Right. I mean, there's just something about them.
It's Fantasyland to see the three of them just going at it.
Well, yeah. And, you know, look, if you were to make a list of alpha males right now, those three would be somewhere in the top percentile.
I'm not going to get into that. I have a weird,
I
have a weird connotation with the term alpha male, and I don't think of the three of them as that at all. They all three have little babies, and they're very sensitive and
okay, they're screen personas.
I guess. Okay. Yeah. I'll agree with you, I guess.
Okay.
It's just a weird term for me these days, I guess.
You know what?
Anyway,
that's fine.
yeah.
I don't want to
exactly.
think I'm derailing things
It's
here.
too silly a movie to get into the conversation.
It's not worth a serious discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I gave it 4 stars because it is what it is.
Okay.
It is exactly what you expect it to be. There was no shock. It was a little long, but, you know, and there's great, Ryan Reynolds shows up, which, you know, he was in one of the Fast and Furious too. So he comes back and he plays this, this CIA guy, and him and Hobbs, The Rock, have just the best interactions whatsoever. And there are 3 after credit scenes with Ryan Reynolds that are just perfect.
Okay.
You know, anything with Ryan Reynolds is perfect. Kevin Hart shows up, which, you know, Kevin Hart and The Rock have done a few movies together. So he shows up as an air marshal on a plane, and again, those scenes, so funny. I mean, and there's a lot of laughter in this. I was really laughing through for all of it. Really, it's just fun.
Good.
So that's what it is. It's fun. It's funny. The guys are great. Vanessa Kirby holds her own. She kicks ass, which is really great. After watching her in The Crown, and then she was in Fallout, Mission Impossible Fallout, but she didn't really do much fighting. So she was great in it. So, you know, it's just, if you like these movies, you'll love it.
Right.
You know, if you don't go see it. It's not that big a deal. They're not dying without your money.
Now, from the sounds of it, they've made it just fine without me going to see it. So
yeah, no, it's one of those that I think, like, if it came on TV and I was like, let's just watch it, you'd enjoy it because there's nothing to not enjoy as long as you aren't sitting there going, well, theoretically that doesn't work into physics and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, you just got to suspend reality and enjoy it.
Okay.
And say, that's cool. I'm glad those people came up with that idea and they figured out a way to shoot it and make it look good. You know, like that's all you're trying to do.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
Thank you.
That's it for movies. I'm going to move on to TV now. There's a few series that have ended recently, so I'm just going to talk about that. First being Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Just finished their 6th season. They are coming back for a 7th, and they've said that the 7th will be their final. I'm okay with that. These last couple seasons, they've really been not stretching, because they've been really good seasons, but it has become something other than what it started out. So
you mean like the Fast and Furious?
Anyway. When Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. first started, it was definitely the spinoff, from the movies, from the Marvel movies.
Right.
And, Phil Coulson being in there, and they figured out a way to bring him back since he died in the Avengers. It all made sense. These agents were great. And the fun thing about those first maybe 3 seasons or so, it always tied into the movies that were coming out. So whenever something happened in the movies, it bled into the show, and maybe we saw consequences of things that had happened, like after the Avengers and the war in New York, like they talked about that sort of thing. And then when people started getting, abilities and all that sort of stuff. So it was always fun. So these last few seasons have been great. We've gone into space, we've done time travel, we've gone back and forth, and it's been fun, and still smart, still love everyone on the show. My only issue, especially this season, was that Infinity War and Endgame had no impact on the show. Now, I've also kind of lost track as to where we are in the timeline on S.H.I.E.L.D. because they have done so much jumping around. So I'm not entirely sure which year we're in. But the blip, which is now what they call the snap from Infinity War, and then
Thanos' snap.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the 5 years where everyone was gone. None of that happened on S.H.I.E.L.D., which I thought was strange. Now, I also may be missing something, that they're in a different timeline now. Like, it's been kind of that confusing, because we have some people that are now with us that are actually, we went to a different timeline and got them and brought them back, because in our timeline he died, and so there's been a lot of that sort of stuff going on.
So maybe they just haven't gotten to it yet.
So they might be in a different timeline where that doesn't even happen.
Well, maybe.
Right.
Or maybe they just haven't gotten to it yet.
Or possibly. I don't know.
The
but we've gone
season
into the
might be
future. We saw the Earth destroyed in the future. We've done, so it's been everywhere, but it's still enjoyable. This past season, for me, wasn't as much fun. Phil Coulson was this other person from, it's a long thing, but he wasn't himself. He looked hot, but he was not Phil Coulson, so that took a lot. But then again, of course, we're like, well, how are they going to bring him back for the next season? And they figured out a way, which is fun. So I'm looking forward to the final season. I think if you like Marvel movies, I think it's a great show. I think they've really kept up with the spirit of it all. And if you haven't watched the show, go back and watch it. There was only one storyline that I never liked when they brought Ghost Rider into it. I wasn't a fan of the movies, and I wasn't a fan of what they were doing on the show, and I actually skipped like maybe 4 or 5 episodes.
Ghost Rider?
Yeah. Remember
like the
Nicolas
Nick Cage?
Yeah. So they had a Ghost Rider story on there.
That was a Marvel thing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So, So anyway, I just want to talk about that, and recommend it if you do like the show, or if you ever stopped watching, go back and rewatch. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah. Next show, my favorite ever. I think this is now side by side with Lost, if not somewhat inching ahead of it.
Is this the Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's pretty high praise.
It is. I never thought anything would really knock Lost off. And I'm not sure that it has, really. But it is such a good show. So we just finished the 3rd season. We are getting a 4th. It's just perfection. There's nothing else I can say about it. It is perfection in the way that it looks, in the way that it feels,
yep,
in the words, in the story, as angering as it can be, as frustrating as it can be. As much as we see the ugliness of humanity, we're also shown with June and with the people around her. We also see the good in humanity. And especially on this finale of this third season, I was an absolute mess, and it was a good mess finally for once, because it was a really hard season.
Yeah.
And it was really brutal. And just when you think Gilead can't get worse, it would get worse. And I was always in shock, like, oh my God, this is worse than I thought we could ever get. People are awful. But in this finale, we were able to see the good in a lot of different people, Bradley Whitford, of course, was on this season, and not a good person, but had little moments in his own world where he can be good to his people. He was nominated for an Emmy for a guest on this show, and he's really good. I don't know if he'll be back next season or not. We don't know what's going on with that. It's just it's absolutely brilliant and perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the record, I'm stopping asking you if you're okay when you're watching the show, because you know you're in another room when you're watching the show. You're like 2 rooms away, actually.
Yeah.
And several times over the last several episodes, I've yelled, "Are you okay?" Because I hear you shrieking and sobbing,
yelling profanities.
Yes.
I'm crying, and so Hulu releases them Tuesday night at midnight, but for us we get them at 9:00, so I get to watch right at 9:00 and right before I go to sleep. And it's
This is a Hulu show?
Yeah, it's on Hulu. Yeah.
Why did I think it was on A&E or
no.
What's the I guess it's A&E. What was Mad Men on?
AMC.
AMC.
Yeah.
I thought it was an AMC show.
Nope.
Huh, okay.
But what was cool was Bradley Whitford was on from West Wing, and Elizabeth Moss was on West Wing.
Mm-hmm.
So I did read an article where they were saying, Elizabeth Moss was on when she was like 16, 17 years old, and Bradley Whitford is on a show that she is producing and has brought to life, and like that he was so proud to watch and then to see the work she's doing, which I honestly can say no one has ever done a better performance on a show than she has done on these 3 seasons. Hands down. No one compares.
Well,
at all.
And she kind of took over Mad Men, right?
Yeah, but Bradley Whitford wasn't on that.
I know that. But yeah. I'm saying her and her talent and her career, she's become like one of the best actors.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Of her generation.
Yeah.
Our generation, whatever it is. So yeah, that's nice to hear that praise, but I'm not shocked because everything I hear about her, a lot of it from you, she's the top of the list.
Yeah, yes, loved her on Mad Men. Peggy was my favorite character, and that was she was all I cared about in that show. Mm-hmm. By the end of it, I could care less what happened to Don Draper. I just need to know what happens to Peggy, and that is because of her. Mm-hmm. But on this, you could put another actor in that role, and maybe it would be okay. I don't know. I really don't know, because it's such an extreme show. And and most of the time the camera is 3 inches from her face, and there's no hiding from that, and there's no makeup on her, and there's it's intense, and a lot of times it's a voiceover versus her speaking, so she's having to put all of it in her face, and it's just and again, beautiful. The shots in this show, the color scheme, and everyone's at the top of their game. Honestly, there's never been anyone that has come on the show that brings it down or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It's just, I always rewatch the seasons before the new one starts. I probably won't wait to rewatch this season for much longer. I'll probably watch it again in a few months, even though it won't come back till next summer, I guess. I don't know. This was a very, very hard season, but I want to watch it a few times before the next season comes back. So anyway, if you're out there and you're not watching Handmaid's Tale for some reason, it's important. It's a very important show. Their message is important. It's very angering, very hard to take sometimes, but it's so good. It's just so good. shouldn't pass it up. So go back. Each season, I think, has 13 episodes. So we're at 3 seasons. So you have time over the next year before the next one comes to just watch and catch up.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now you can participate.
Yay. I've been participating.
3rd season of Glow came out last week.
My wheelhouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we don't know if there's a 4th season yet. We have not heard anything about a renewal. So.
Oh, I sure do hope so. I mean, for a lot of reasons.
They ended it in a way where it could end, or if they want to bring it back, they will. You know, I was fine with the ending. I mean, you know.
Okay.
So.
I was not.
So this season, obviously, we're in Las Vegas. That's where we found out they were going at the end of 2nd season. And they're doing a nightly show. It's not, you know, a random, like they don't change it up. It's the exact same. It's just like any sort of performing show. Exact same wrestling duos, the same script, all that sort of stuff every single night. That's kind of it, I guess. So go ahead and talk about what you thought. I mean,
that's the basis for this season's story.
Right.
Yeah. So as I've said before, what really makes this show for me is Mark Maron. I've grown into a huge Mark Maron fan, and his character Sam Sylvia is just the best. I mean, I go from, you know, pretty much everything he says cracks me up. But then, you know, the underlying themes or the things he ignores or whatever just really pisses me off, right? But so it's a broad range of emotion from that one character. And then all the
what pisses you off?
I can't talk about it without spoiling. So the thing he goes through this season, right? The very personal thing he goes through.
Yeah.
Why didn't he tell anybody? Why didn't he?
Okay.
Yeah, that sort of thing. He didn't tell his daughter. He didn't tell Allison Brie. He didn't, or
Ruth.
Yeah, Ruth.
Okay.
So that sort of thing.
Okay.
So but that's his character. But the women are all fantastic. The actual characters on the show.
Yeah.
The wrestlers.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Ruth fan. I'm actually getting to be less of a Liberty Bell fan. But the rest of the wrestlers, the ladies have all raised their game in my eyes and come up to, you know, the first season or 2, it was all about Betty Gilpin and Allison Brie.
Right.
So
what is her name?
Why do I keep selling Allison Brie?
Ruth.
Yes.
What about it?
What's the actress's name?
Allison Brie.
Why'd you say what's her name?
What is Liberty Bell's name?
Betty Gilpin.
No, what is her name? Her character's name.
Oh, Debbie Egan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Don't say Debbie.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Anyway. So, what did you think of the season?
I thought it was okay. It was a little bit of a stretch for me. I was very surprised. It was just a little nit, but I was very surprised to not see what's his face, the strip club owner that brought them to Vegas.
Oh yeah, Horatio Sands.
Oh yeah, of course. I was surprised he wasn't in it at all.
Yeah.
So I kept waiting for him to show up and, you know, be his goofy, bubbly self, but he never did.
No, they gave it to Gina Davis.
Yeah, I thought that was a little odd. That character, I guess maybe not when you think about vintage Vegas and that sort of thing, but it didn't really add much in my eyes. So I still love the show. The season was probably my least favorite of the 3. I think there's things to build on if they keep going. But I'm such a fan of all the people that I liked it. Right.
That's kind of how I am. It was not as good a season as normal, but it also was. So here's the first. Again, we binged the first 2 seasons. We rewatched them right before the 3rd season came out. So we were hot off the trail of 2 really good seasons. Mm-hmm. But those seasons involved, they were fast paced, a lot more wrestling, and a little bit funnier. This season, it was like they really wanted to dive into each character. And what was great was we really did get to learn a lot more about the other women. Mm-hmm. Like the camping trip brought out a lot. Sheila coming out of her wolf skin gave us a good turnaround.
Spoiler alert.
It was, I liked learning a lot more about each character, but then also we spanned a year's time in this season. And Bash being married to Rhonda had its ups and downs. I feel really bad for Bash. As much as he really pisses me off, I also feel bad for him. He's not in a great place. But yeah, it wasn't as much about Debbie and Ruth, and even Sam, he was gone. Really, we didn't see him much at all.
There were 2 episodes where he was either not in or barely in.
Yeah. So it was much more character driven this season than the show or the wrestling, whatever it was. So when they did finally do like the Christmas show or something like that, they switched up the show, those were fun to watch again, because I think they gave us so much of that in the first 2 seasons. It felt very empty to not have that. But maybe we were also supposed to feel that because that's how they were feeling. They were so bored having to do the same show every night. Maybe that's why they didn't give it to us either, because it was kind of like, look, the show doesn't matter anymore. We're just sleeping through that.
Everybody was on autopilot.
Right.
Yeah.
But everyone wasn't. Like, that was what was interesting, was that Ruth was still kind of stuck in this rut, and all these other girls were going off and getting into relationships and learning new things about themselves. I haven't been a fan of Debbie since the beginning. Not really. I've never understood the Debbie and Ruth friendship. I don't understand how they were ever friends even before Ruth slept with her husband. Like, it's never made sense to me. They're so different and so far apart that it's never made sense to me. And even though now they seem to be okay, it's still weird. And I think that's, at least in my eyes, because I don't see them as friends.
Yeah, so my impression is that's exactly why they're friends, is they're so different. They became study partners and that sort of thing, and have fed off of each their differences to better their acting abilities.
Yeah, but see, Debbie's not a good actor, and I would think that she wouldn't want to be friends with someone who's so much better than her.
Well, that's why she's always lashing out at her.
I know that, but again, then why are you friends with someone? Like, I don't like their friendship. Doesn't feel very supportive to me, and it's a hard thing to watch in a show that's supposed to be about these women and them all supporting each other and all that sort of thing. Well,
right, but she comes from a little bit different world, right? She's been on a TV show. She's on
a soap opera.
That's last I checked, those were on TV.
Yeah.
Right. So she has a career that some would consider very successful, right? So she's coming at it from a different place, where all these other actors are still looking for their first break, their first real job, their first thing. So the perspective is a little bit different. And I think to a certain extent with Ruth, it's a case of, keep your friends close and your enemies closer, right?
So you think Ruth saw her as an enemy even before?
No. Debbie saw Ruth as a threat, not an enemy. I said it's similar, right? It's not, she doesn't look at her as an enemy, but I think she'd rather keep her close than out there.
Okay. Again, I don't know. I just don't like to see relationships like that, I guess. Yeah. But then at the end of the season, Debbie's really inviting Ruth for a huge opportunity, but again is also knocking her down by saying, you're not going to be the thing you want to be, so let me give you what you should do. And it bothered me. It's like it was 2 things. I was really thrilled, like this could be really awesome, but it also bothered me, like, but you're being mean. And obviously it bothered Ruth too. It was just like, you can't, take away from me what I'm not willing to give up yet. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But that's where at the end, Debbie really started to become someone that I liked. Now, maybe that's the problem is I haven't really liked her this whole time. But as soon as she stabs her boyfriend in the back and takes this huge deal away from him, I'm like, yeah, you go. Like, right. I really admired her at that point for having the foresight and the drive to do something so huge. That could make a difference. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, and to get back to Debbie and Ruth, I think she offers her that thing, even though she's being mean to her and kind of a backhanded offer. I think she really does have her best interest at heart. She's convinced it's just not going to happen for Ruth because Ruth is self-destructive. And
Yeah, I think I don't think she really thinks she's being backhanded. I really think she thinks she's offering her a good deal.
Well, and
she's not doing that on purpose.
The way she phrases it, the last couple lines of the season, the way she phrases it is logical.
Yeah.
Right? It's not being mean to be mean, it's being brutally honest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see if there is a fourth season, how they come up with all of that, how they come back with, like everyone's kind of separated, right? Machu Picchu's gone.
We think.
Sam is, they're off doing the movie. Like, it's harder when you do split up a group like this, and you have to keep, and we saw that partly this year. It's going to be interesting to see really what kind of comes of everyone if we get a fourth season. I'm fine with the way it ended. I haven't, Netflix doesn't release, their viewership or anything like that. So usually if it's a huge thing, they come out and go, oh, so many people are watching this. I haven't heard anything about Glow. Now everyone's gotten nominated and all that sort of thing. So that always helps to hopefully bring in another season. And I'd like another season. I really would. It's not like I hated this season. It was just a little slower because we really we dealt with some serious things, it was sadder and slower. And so I'd like to get back to, something better. For everyone.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see a happy ending for everyone.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's that.
Okay.
It's on Netflix, 3 seasons. Each season only has 10 episodes and they're half hour. So if you haven't watched it, it really is a good show.
And it goes fast.
And it's fun and entertaining.
Yep.
And really forward for women in a way. Good group of women. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me participate.
All right. So now I'm going to talk about shows that have just started that I kind of mostly recommend, just so people don't get behind a whole season and maybe you can catch up on it or something.
Okay.
So the first is 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Mindy Kaling has produced a TV show based on the movie.
Okay.
So it's on Hulu. They released the first 4 episodes in one day. And so now we're at 6 episodes. I believe they have 10 in the season. So we're almost done, but you still have time to go back to Hulu and just watch.
So they released the first 4 on a day. How do they release the rest?
Every Tuesday, 1 episode.
Oh, so it's a weekly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is still based in London, which is great. The main characters, though, there are 4 American characters. 3 of whom they all went to college together and then moved to London after college because they loved it. And,
okay.
And then that's it. It's kind of, it's 4 weddings and a funeral. The point of the movie is there were 4 weddings and a funeral. We've already had 1 wedding and a funeral. I think that's it so far.
So they got the funeral out of the way.
Yeah. And it actually was a pretty sweet and touching and sad thing. So it's good. It's not at all following the same story at all. Andy McDowell did show up in it, which was interesting. But it is the rom-com same thing. All of these people trying. Oh, we did have a second wedding actually. So there's been 2 weddings so far. So all of these people trying to find their people. Of course, there's 2 characters that are very into each other, but because of obstacles, they can't be together. The typical rom-com thing. So it's fun. I'm not staying up on Tuesday nights to watch it, and I'm actually kind of forgetting that it's even there.
Right.
So it's not super entertaining, but it is good with good people in it.
Oh, who's in it? Is anybody we know?
No one you'd know by name. The main girl, she was in Fast and Furious 7. She was the hacker girl, English girl that they got to work with them.
Doesn't help me.
So that's where I knew she's so gorgeous. There's a guy from You're the Worst. Remember, she managed those rapper guys. The main rapper guy there, he's in it. He's really good in it.
Huh. Interesting.
There was that show. Oh gosh, what was it? Search Party on TBS. Was it? One of the guys from that show is on it. So
Okay.
it's like those sorts of things where I've watched all these people in other shows, and
Sure.
now they're in this one, which is kind of fun. Yeah. Oh, Dermot Mulroney showed up.
Really?
So he's in a couple episodes so far. He might be ending up with one of our main characters, I'm kind of hoping. Yeah, so it's one of those just kind of very, very light, fun shows. Oh, remember in Downton Abbey when Matthew Crawley was engaged to the girl and then she died from the flu, and that's how he got back with Mary, remember?
Yeah.
She's that woman, that lady, she's in it.
Oh, she's alive.
Yeah, she's one of the main people in it. She's funny. She's but sweet. It's a good story with her too. So yeah, so it's fine. It's on Hulu. I just wanted to put it out there so people can go catch up before, the whole season is over.
All right.
Next one is, they call it BH90210 is the reboot name.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So we've had 2 episodes. There's only 6. The recommendation I'm going to say is that if you were a super fan, then watch it. If you weren't, then there's absolutely no need. And I think that's already known. I mean, no one's going to just sit back and go, like you, who didn't watch the show, you're not going to go, oh, well, I'm going to watch this. Like, no, that's not going to happen. They missed the mark in that if they had done an actual reboot of 90210, we all would be in, and we all would be watching 25 episodes a season, and we all would be so all over it.
Right.
Instead, they're doing this meta show within a show where they're all playing, exaggerated versions of themselves. And in that, we're watching those people put together the reboot of 90210. So it's very meta.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's fun. It's fun to see, because I think we've come to know so we've come to know the actors as people more than their characters, I think, in these last 20 years, right?
Sure.
So it's funny to now see them be a very heightened, like they still talk about Tori and financial struggles and having kids and stuff, and her reality shows she's done, and Jenny she is on her 3rd somewhat rocky marriage in real life and in the show, but they make it seem so much more horrible, and so it's kind of all that sort of stuff, which is really funny. But so then, because they're all kind of down on their luck in real life or can't get work otherwise and that sort of thing, they come up with the idea to do the reboot. So it's funny. I'm enjoying it. And they're sticking in drama too, to try and make it, the soapy type of 90210 that would have been. So they're making drama between Jason Priestley and Jenny Garth, like they had sex when they met up the first time, but they hate each other. And Gabriella Carteris, she wants Andrea in the reboot to be exploring her sexual orientation, because Gabrielle in real life on this show thinks she might be attracted to women, even though she's married and has grandchildren and that sort of thing. So they're doing that, and there's a kid that seems to be following Brian Austin Green around. They're making it look like maybe he's a stalker, but I'm sure it's going to show up that he's a kid, that he had a kid. So it's kind of fun, because they're putting those little things in there. We're seeing drama between all the cast members and stuff, and it's just fun. But they should have done an actual reboot.
So how did they handle the Luke Perry thing?
They didn't dwell on it too much. The way the first episode is that they were all getting together for like a convention, for an anniversary panel. And that they addressed it by making a toast to him, and just addressing that he wasn't there and that sort of thing. I was bawling, like no one on screen was, but I was bawling. Just I'm sure that was hard to take.
So they downplayed it.
They did.
Yeah. Okay.
And Shannon didn't show up on the first episode at all. She was in the second one. And she will be back with everyone for the rest of the episodes. So yeah, that's, I'm having fun with it. It's good enough. I'll take it. I'll take what I can get. from these guys for someone who lived and breathed the show.
Sure.
Like it was my thing. So
it's okay, but it could have been so much more.
I really just wish they had done it.
Okay.
It would have been.
Maybe season 2 is the reboot.
I don't know that everyone's willing to commit to all that, but
sure.
We'll see. It's just nice and it's fun and they're making a lot of jokes and I'll bet there's a lot of truth in some of these jokes, even though they don't want us to know that it's the truth. You know what I mean?
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, okay, moving on. The next show I want to recommend and highly recommend is called David Makes Man. It's on OWN. It's on right after Queen Sugar. There's only been one episode out of 10. And this is the guy, Terrell Alvin McCraney. He's the guy who wrote Moonlight.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is like kind of autobiographical. It's set in Miami. And we follow this kid, David, who lives in a very poor part of town in this poor like apartment complex. And he goes to a magnet school because he is a prodigy and very smart. But he is surrounded by violence and guys, that hang out in this complex that want him to do other things. His mother was an addict. She is clean at this moment. He, struggles in school because there aren't a lot of other black kids in the school. So it's like, he's got a really rough life at home. And then literally there was a wonderful moment, in the first show where he had to take the bus to get to the school and he gets there and he's putting on his uniform and stuff. And like, he stops before he like kind of enters and he puts a smile on his face and then he walks in and, he had just spent the morning, his brother had wet the bed. So he had to do the laundry and, all this sort of stuff and like sneak past the guys that are hanging out at the complex and then running to get on the bus and blah, blah, blah. And then he sticks a smile on its face to get into school, and in between on the commercial breaks, Oprah was talking to Terrell and they were talking about, just the circumstances and how true it was to his life and that sort of thing. And so first off, this kid, and I should have written his name down, who's playing David, amazing. The first episode, again, really pretty to look at, really well shot. Really important things are already being put out there to talk about abusive parents or absent parents and all sorts of stuff. But this kid, just the whole way, whatever it was he had to struggle with or go through or then be at school or then this and, having to tell your principal that, you can't call your mom. Like he gets into a fight with his friend and principal wants to call his mom. Well, you can't. The phone's been shut off. Well, how long has that been out? Well, since our lights got turned on, and so it's like he's trying to explain all this and principal, of course, is just freaking out.
Sure.
And, did you eat breakfast this morning? It's like I had time to worry about that when I'm, washing these sheets for my brother, blah, blah, blah. So it's just, it's a very true, really harsh reality that, of course, millions of children are living. And just because this one kid happens to be smart, he gets to escape a little bit every day. But how much of escape really is it? So anyway, it's really good. It's one of those that I think is going to be, again, a tough season to watch, but I'm really interested in learning so much more about all these people we were introduced to in the first season. So, or the first episode. So
what's that on?
It's on OWN.
OWN.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's right after Queen Sugar. So I think that's Wednesdays.
I understand if you're not sure because you tape like 300 things.
Yeah,
a week,
I just tape it and watch it, and and that's the only reason I knew about it was because of Queen Sugar. So because they were advertising it during that show, which is so good. But I'll talk about that when the season's over.
Okay.
Okay, and then the last one is a show on CBS All Access, so you have to pay for the CBS All Access pass, which I think is either $5 for commercials or $10 a month for no commercials. It's called Why Women Kill. This is the new show from Mark Cherry. He did Desperate Housewives.
Yep.
So I was interested in this because of the cast. And I watched the first episode. there's going to be 10 episodes in this first season. I'm not sure. I'm gonna keep watching. It felt I thought I kept as it kept going, I go, oh, is this only one episode? And then I thought, oh, are they gonna tie up these people's stories and next week is gonna be a whole new set of people? And it doesn't appear that way. So it's called Why Women Kill, and in the first episode it felt like they told us why, and now I have to sit through 9 more episodes until they actually do it. I don't know. It's a weird. So the concept is there's this one house in Pasadena. We see a couple, I think it's like in 1960, and that couple is Jennifer Goodwin and Sam Jager. He's from Parenthood, and
okay.
And so there's them. And then in the 80s, the house is occupied by Lucy Liu and what's his name? Jack Davenport, Edward from Wedding Date.
Oh, okay.
Edward.
Oh, wow.
Edward and Jeffrey. So him, and then it's present day with Reed Scott from Veep and My Boys.
Uh-huh.
And
sure.
The chick from Good Place, Cheaty's girlfriend in Australia that did all the So she's the wife there, and so it's an interesting concept that we're seeing through the times, right? And interesting stories that these women are kind of going through, and what their men are doing. But it was interesting, but it was also a little too, like I said, packaged up in one episode. You know what I mean? Like I felt like it was too much information in the one episode, but I could be way off because we still have 9 to go. And he's not like Desperate Housewives was good. I mean, I stopped watching after I think the second season, but I think he can package a season. So
you've only seen the first episode.
Yeah, that's all that they've released.
So
right.
It felt wrapped up, or mostly wrapped up, but you don't know the twists to come.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. Because and that might that's kind of what I'm hoping is that Why Women Kill. They showed us very obvious reasons, but maybe those don't end up being the reasons that they end up killing. So we'll see. But it's so yeah. I just wanted to put it out there. It's a great cast. I love all of these people in it. So that's worth it. It's a different concept. It's interesting. So we'll see how that goes. And then I am going to keep watching it. So I just kind of wanted to put it out there. I know since you do have to pay extra for it, it can be difficult. What I'm hoping is that since CBS and Viacom just merged, that hopefully CBS AllAccess will start to bring all the Viacom stuff over, and then it's really worth that money. You know what I mean? So we'll see. But for right now, I've just been angry that CBS locks up all their stuff, and but to see Star Trek and stuff, you had to get it. So anyway, so that's those are the 4 shows I just wanted to talk about that are in the beginning, and see if other people can get to them and start watching as well.
Okay.
And we'll see how it all ends up.
Yes, we will.
Okay, so Actors Corner, we decided to do The Rock because of Hobbs and Shaw. I felt like this wasn't worth it, but you did, so we did it.
Well, I thought it could have been worth it.
So I've only seen 9 movies of his. So, it wasn't like it was hard to...
right.
Now, I will say... I watched the first episode of Ballers, his show, and it wasn't bad. It just wasn't my thing. I just didn't want to.
I did too, and it was okay, but not compelling.
Yeah, it just wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead.
I do have enough on my list, on our standard list, to not embarrass myself. So I'm proud of that.
I'm sure we're gonna have the same answers for everything.
I bet we don't.
Okay, movies you love. Moana, go.
As a matter of fact, I do have Moana on there.
I know.
Moana is actually one of my current favorite movies. If it's on, I gotta watch it.
Yes.
And
even if it's on against a NASCAR race, it was like watching a 51-year-old man have Sophie's Choice. Yeah. He didn't know what to do.
It's a little bit eclectic, I suppose, Moana or the NASCAR race.
I assumed all other NASCAR fans were in the same predicament.
Yes, there's a support group now.
Okay. So Moana, yes.
And Jumanji.
Those are my two.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, Moana's fantastic. Love, 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 love. I don't know if it's because of him. It really is, I think, because of Lynn's music. But you know.
Oh yeah. So there are so many parts of it I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
The music is fantastic. Obviously the message and the theme of it is awesome.
Yeah.
His Maui is really, really good and has some of my favorite lines of the movie.
And you're wearing a Maui shirt.
I am.
I'm like looking at you talking about Maui and a Maui shirt. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I do think my favorite character though is Hey.
Okay. Mine's Moana.
The chicken lives.
Yes. And Jumanji we've talked about before because I think we talked about Jack Black on this before.
Yeah.
And Jack Black is to me the point of the movie, but The Rock is also really funny because the kid that he's embodying or that embodies him, you know, is a allergy ridden game playing kid, and so it's hysterical when The Rock goes off and he's just like, don't cry.
Yeah,
and,
he's
all of that.
tough and reminding himself not to cry. It's great.
Yeah, I'm excited for the second one.
I am too, and I'm not a big Kevin Hart fan.
Yeah.
Oh, and I know her name, Gillian, Billion. What is her name?
Gillian
or
Jillian. I don't know which way she pronounces it actually.
What's her last name?
Oh.
Okay. So all four of those actors are really good in that movie. I do think Jack Black takes it.
Yeah.
But Kevin Hart has some great scenes.
In the sequel, they are not playing the same people.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, we watched the trailer, right?
So that's also going to be really interesting to see it now mixed up.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Okay,
but we'll see.
Yeah, movies you like.
Movies I like. The Game Plan.
Yep, that's on mine.
And Tooth Fairy.
Oh.
No.
I do love Tooth Fairy. But Game Plan, man, that movie took me away. I couldn't believe how much I loved that movie.
Yeah.
That little girl's so cute.
Well,
and
his ability to soften up like that was very refreshing.
Yeah, I think this whole thing where he went through the Tooth Fairy Game Plan and was doing these lighter movies, I think people were shocked, but I thought it was a good move because it was like take me away from doing action all the time.
Yeah.
And we could see that he was fun and sensitive and could still carry a movie like that.
Yeah, I think if it was a conscious decision to do those for various reasons, it was a genius move because it really, I think, has helped him round into a pretty good actor.
Right. Comedic actor.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yep.
So I had Game Plan, and then I have all the Fast and Furious. Yeah.
I haven't seen the Fast and Furious with him in it, so.
Okay. Movies you hate?
The Scorpion King.
Never saw it.
Yeah, it was, so in The Mummy Returns, so The Mummy with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz.
I've never seen any of them.
You haven't?
Nope.
I thought we saw that. Well, whatever. I really liked that movie. And then the sequel to it, I think, was The Mummy Returns. Was okay. Not nearly as good as the first one. But then they came out with The Mummy, The Scorpion King or something like that. And The Rock ended up being a guy who morphed into a scorpion. So he had like the upper body of The Rock.
Really?
And the lower body of a scorpion. And that just, it lost me.
Okay.
And then they came out with his own movie.
Oh.
And I gave it 15 minutes and I was like, this is awful.
Okay.
So I loved the first one and I had high hopes for the franchise, air quotes. But no.
I saw the Tom Cruise Mummy, but I didn't see all those with Brendan Fraser. Okay.
You like Brendan Fraser, right?
I don't mind him.
Okay.
It just didn't seem like it was my thing to watch those. And yeah. So yes. I watched Tom Cruise's because it was Tom Cruise and Jake Johnson.
Yeah. Well, I really liked Brendan Fraser's The Mummy.
Okay.
And I have not seen the Tom Cruise version.
Okay.
So maybe we should swap. I'll watch the Tom Cruise version if you watch the Brendan Fraser version. That's a hard pass.
That is. The movie I hate is, and I don't hate it, it just wasn't good. Skyscraper. I talked about this on the podcast when it came out last year.
What?
And yeah.
You didn't like that movie.
Well, I talked about it on here. No, it just there was really nothing for me to even talk about. It was pointless. It was, I think someone just was sitting around going, you know what would be cool? And then had no way of turning it into a movie.
I got it. Let's get The Rock out of the helicopter from San Andreas and just put him in a skyscraper.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
doomed
anyway.
to fail.
Yeah. Okay. Movies you secretly love.
That's a funny segue because I put San Andreas.
So did I.
Really?
I love that movie. You know that. I watch it all the time.
I do too, but I don't think I'd ever tell anybody.
Oh.
Although I just...
Well, now we are. I was like, would I? Yep. I sure would.
Is this thing on? Oh, no. I guess I just told somebody.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, San Andreas.
So, I have San Andreas, which I do like. And I still cry every time when they see their daughter bang out the window and they have to go in. And then she drowns. And they already lost their first daughter for drowning. And he has to revive her. Like, that's a very tearful moment. And I love... the two guys that stick with her, and I love the effects of it too, because I mean it's ridiculous, but it's also very scary to live here. Look, we're in Los Angeles. It's very scary to live here, and you watch that. It's overwhelming. Sure. But at the same time, it makes for a very, interesting movie. But I just, I liked all of it. It's one of the... I like disaster movies, though. I do.
Well, there's a lot to be said for like Day After Tomorrow and those types of things. Yeah. And even so I think that's actually... You just touched on it. That's actually one of the things I like about Godzilla and that sort of epic, overall citywide, Cloverfield and that sort of thing, is seeing such a wide shot of a city going through a change. Right. A sudden, abrupt, violent change. Yeah. Yep. There's just something so epic about that. Right. And just...
When you see the landmarks, just like what was the movie where they're like, they like to get the landmarks? Oh, that was the Independence Day sequel, which was awful. But it's true. When you see the landmarks going and, all that sort of stuff,
it really, to me, it really captures my imagination.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So my second one, which Alexandra Daddario played his daughter in Baywatch, then plays his coworker, or his daughter in San Andreas now plays his coworker in Baywatch. And my second one I secretly love is Baywatch. I secretly loved the show Baywatch. And so for me, watching this movie, they put a lot of little jokes and Easter eggs from the show into the movie, and I really appreciated that. I didn't think I remembered so much from the show until I saw the movie. And again, it was just a fun, had some good action. It's one of those things where these heroes, they jump into the fire, they jump into the danger, and Priyanka Chopra is the villain. And
there's a villain in Baywatch?
There's always a villain.
I never watched the show.
No. Well, anyway, it was an entertaining movie. I liked it good enough well enough. And, I just, it's not really a secret, but there you go.
It's not anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Embarrassed you haven't seen.
So this is a weird one for me. I'm not embarrassed I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But you would think that, with my formative years in the 90s and 2000s, right, when I was 20, 30, that I would have at least caught The Rock wrestling in WWE.
Oh.
And I didn't. I've never seen him wrestle.
Really?
Yeah, totally.
Oh.
So I'm not embarrassed per se. It's just that was what launched him, right? And most people at least can look back on him as a wrestler and go, yeah, he was kick-ass or whatever. Yeah. Right? And I can't do that because I never saw it.
Okay. So that's how I heard of him first. I worked at a bank, and this chick that I worked with, she was the first one. She's like, oh my God, I'm in love with this wrestler and blah, blah, blah. And like we would go and watch. And she was the one who introduced me to him. So yeah, I was able to see him wrestle.
I've seen like YouTube clips or whatever, or just little 5, 6, 7 second things where he did his, can you smell what the Rock is cooking? And what was it? The People's Elbow. I think he had the People's Elbow, whatever. Yeah, I've seen that stuff, but never actually caught the show. Right. Or an episode or whatever they're called. Yeah. A match.
Okay.
So
I had two. again, not really embarrassed, but I'm surprised I haven't seen Central Intelligence yet, because I do love Kevin Hart too. And I just haven't watched it for whatever reason. But the second one really just came out, Fighting with the Family. That's the true story of him helping this girl get into wrestling and all of that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that looked really entertaining, and it looks like a really good story. And I haven't watched it yet. So I hope to see that soon. That one I definitely do want to catch.
Okay.
So add to your watch list.
I'm not sure how strongly I feel about this. And the fact that I just said it that way, it leads me to believe not very strong. But the things that he's been in, the only thing I would have a mild interest in would be, I guess, the more recent Fast and Furious movies where he's in it.
Okay. Mine is Fighting with the Family. I do want to see that. So
yeah, I had forgotten about that one.
Yeah.
So I think
that one looks good.
I think I'm going to change my answer. I do not want to watch any of the Fast or Furious or.
Yeah. So the only honorable mention I have that we didn't talk about is Get Smart. I thought he was good in that. I love the movie, and it had nothing to really do with him because it's a smaller part. But that was it. Okay. Yeah. So The Rock. I mean, again, I think we haven't seen a lot of the ones, like, he's done a lot, but I missed out a whole section of his. But
yeah, his IMDb is pretty extensive, but it's like 50% at least of WWE stuff.
Yeah.
So I tried to pick out the movies or the shows, and I don't know. I guess I didn't. I thought he was in more.
Yeah.
Outside of wrestling.
He has done a lot that I haven't seen. I mean, there's a lot that I haven't seen. So I can honestly say that. But I really do like him a lot, and I love watching him. So. Oh
yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that don't like him, but he's got a pretty broad appeal.
Yeah, he's great. So anyway, all right. Well, thanks, you guys. That's everything for this week.
Yeah.
We'll see. I already know I've got a couple things that I'm gonna want to talk about next week, so we'll see.
Oh yeah, next week starts my vacation, so I'm in. we can do one, and it won't even disrupt my.
Do one every day.
No. Okay.
Then I watched this commercial.
Yeah, this commercial made me cry.
Yeah,
Subaru commercials.
Dogs.
I know, they get you.
Don't put dogs in things.
No, put dogs in things. That's how you get people's emotions. They figured it out.
I don't like my emotions.
toyed with during a car commercial.
Yeah,
that's
movies I can avoid.
You're so odd.
Can't avoid the commercials.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. Well, thanks you guys for listening again, and we will be back sometime soon.
Sounds good.
Until then, I'll be watching my stories.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.